Burger King came with a butter chicken burger.
Welcome to Frequency and Friends. We're back for another very special episode. We have two of my close friends. We have entrepreneurs in the house. We have food connoisseurs in the house. We have businessmen and women in the house. Help me to welcome Rick and Harjot Matharu.
Welcome.
I'm sorry, I missed probably a bunch of titles in that intro.
That's okay.
But you guys are fantastic. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for coming to the show.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
How you guys feeling tonight?
Pretty good.
Feeling
Relaxing,
awesome.
chilling.
Yeah,
I mean,
love
we're all
the studio.
friends. I know.
Yeah, I know.
We're all friends, so it feels really like relaxed to be here anyways.
Yeah.
But yeah, the studio's sick.
Yeah.
I gotta say, we've had a lot of guests come on the episodes in the show, but nobody has brought us food. So thank you so
Yes.
much
The
for
food
bringing
was
the
What we
food.
do best.
And we didn't
I'm-
expect it.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
when it I just saw you show up with bags, and I was like, all right.
So if you see food on the table, it's because we're hungry and it
That's
tastes
it.
so damn good. We're not waiting till after the episode. So
No.
We've
Eat it
already been
fresh.
eating. Yeah. Let me welcome you guys and introduce you. We got Rick Matharu on the right. We got Harjot Matharu on the left. Harjot, do you go by Harjot Matharu?
I go by my full name.
Okay.
Harjot Matharu.
Harjot Matharu.
Matharu, yeah.
All right, there we go.
Yeah.
And of course, to the left of me, we got j-statik. To the right of me, we got DJ M. And
What's
of
up?
course, I'm Kultar Rai. The reason we wanted to have you guys on, it's been on my list for quite a while to have you guys on. I am so intrigued by your story. I want to know where it all started from, the love for food, where the recipes come from, growing up from media side and the food side. We're going to talk about it all today.
I love it.
Yeah, let's start with, I'm going to call him Little Ricky.
Little Ricky.
That's so cute.
Let's go back to Rick growing up. Where are you from? Tell us your backstory of Rick.
Yeah, man. I'm born and raised in Brampton,
Shout out.
B-Town. I grew up watching my parents hustle and work like all our parents, the immigrant story of working multiple jobs and trying to take care of their kids. And during that time, I remember my mom just coming and whipping together food that was quick. She didn't have time to make gourmet meals. She just had to put something together and feed the family. And I just grew up kind of helping her in the kitchen, watching her, and just learning from her. And I remember I used to just always ask, like, Mom, can I help you? And she'd be like, yeah, do this or that. Set the table, and my sister and I would help her out. And, she used to make Punjabi food, and then we would, on Fridays, the family would get together and we'd have a treat. So a burger, pizza, pasta, whatever. And once we got a flavor of that, we're like, okay, we want burgers, pizzas, pastas. And Mom's like, no, you can't have that. So then she would take everyday comfort food and then sneak Punjabi flavors into it. Like a Punjabi mac and cheese, like a tarka style mac and cheese, or a Punjabi style pizza or whatever, a grilled cheese with chutney and ranch. And that's kind of how we grew up eating. And I just kind of grew up, at age, I think, 17, 18, I started experimenting with food in the kitchen, maybe even before that. And decided to just, back then I didn't know what I wanted to do in my life. I graduated high school. I went into college. I dropped out of college. I had a couple of businesses back then and just started. I think food is kind of like a comfort for me. Making it, enjoying it, talking about it, taking photos of it. So anytime I was down, I would just go to food.
Earlier, we got Cam from Lucid behind, and he mentioned something that I didn't know. You were in photography as well at one point.
One of my many jobs in the past, I was a photographer and videographer. I did wedding photography for about 4.5 years, 5 years. And then I did some like fashion lifestyle stuff. I used to work for a company called Suhag. You guys know what Suhag is? Yeah. So I did a lot of, I was their account manager, but I also did some photography on the side. So I did photography. We used to do gigs all the time. I did wedding photography, food photography, did some video, followed around some YouTubers, did some production. Like I said, it was one of my many jobs in the past.
Rick's lived many lives.
I was gonna say,
Yeah.
it's why I want people like yourself on here, because I consider yourself, JJ, Joe, even Cam, like the OGs of this industry. And for us, it's the wedding industry, and it's as a whole, that's kind of the background, obviously, for Frequency. but even just in music production, art, like you guys have all been intertwined, and we're going to get into a lot of those conversations throughout the night. But it's just interesting that how, certain, fields or paths lead you guys all to come together. And like, we had other friends in the room earlier, and everybody kind of knows everybody. And it's cool that the community in the industry is that small, but so big at the same time.
Even learning about the earlier stuff, like that's like I know it, but I forgot about it.
Right,
So like when I
yeah.
hear like, oh yeah, I used to do wedding videography and photography. Shit, that's crazy. And like I feel like I've known you for ages.
We've known each other for a very long time.
So
yeah.
like you,
Because of me.
Because of you, yes,
100%.
yes.
Because of me.
Yes.
Because we're friends.
Yeah,
That's right.
that's
That's
right.
right.
We're university
Yeah,
friends.
that's
right.
right.
Yeah.
Damn that.
And that's all coming back
No.
together now, right?
Yeah, have another drink.
Tell us a little bit about young Jot, and then going into university, and how you and JJ met and all that.
Yeah. So like, I'm like a Punjabi art nerd. Like that's what my background is. My mom's a singer, a folk singer. And so having like Punjabi music accessible constantly my whole life. I did Punjabi plays growing up. I did Punjabi radio. So like Punjabi sabhyachar, Punjabi culture is like my like passion.
Sorry, let's not talk your mom down, because
Yeah.
she's an OG.
Yeah, not
Yeah.
just
in our
a singer.
community.
She's a
Yeah.
My mom is the
Let's
Gee.
make some noise for Jot's mom.
yeah, my mom's
Yeah.
Rajkumar. Yeah.
There we go. Yeah.
Yeah, so I was extremely lucky. Like most kids have to like fight to be an artist, whereas in my house, being an artist is like you should be an artist. So I was very lucky. I didn't have to do what JJ did, was do a full undergrad and then pursue his art. So yeah, so I was very blessed on that side of things. And so from like university, doing dance teams, doing all that stuff, and then going into Punjabi radio is what my jump off was. And at that time, I was a vendor as well because I sing at gigs, weddings. And so it was like a natural sort of progression for Rick to go into blogging and to going into like food recording and like sharing about food, because I was already in the media. Rick was already doing photography, and it's like, those past lives, they like serve you in the future, and that's why we always like had the impact we have had, because with Rick's Good Eats is because we did everything ourselves. Like we had like, because our parents had the DIY hustle culture, we inherited that like mentality of, just do it yourself. You want to get something done, just do it yourself. And so from photography to videography to like, like the biggest hurdle for most businesses is like, how do we share what we're doing with people? And because of our background, we were able to just like make it happen for ourselves. Yeah.
That is awesome. I kind of want to hear about the backstory of growing up in a house with, I call her auntie. I can't call her by her first name, Rajkuman. But tell me about like coming up under that and the experiences and the exposure that you had to the arts and the media world.
Yeah. I mean, because my mom is like classically trained, she has her master's in music. So she comes from like a very technical background, reading music, making sure that, so I grew up with like doing like kirtan, learning how to do like riyaz every single morning. And I was with her doing it growing up. So, and because, a woman in this field is very, very difficult to be in, she had to really fight for her, and my dad both had to really fight for her to be able to do what she does and really, stand up for what she wanted to do. And so I was able to grow up and like going to Methville's with her, because as a woman, you would take your daughter with you. And so it kind of sets a standard of what kind of person you are in these really male dominated spaces. And so she would take me with her. So it would set the tone. I'm here with my daughter. I'm here in this kind of space. And so I got to see like legends growing up. I got to see Shaukat Ali. I got to see Surinder Kaur live. I got to perform live once with Surinder Kaur at the band shell at CNE. I got to grow up seeing Sadhu Sikandar and Amar Noori. Like they are legends. Wow. Yeah. So I was very lucky because my mom is one of the first is the first Punjabi singer out of Canada. She was on the same label. The first,
male or woman.
She was the first Punjabi female singer out of Canada. So she was on the same label as Jazzy B and with Binda Jat on Supertone Melodies.
Oh, Supertone.
Yeah. She was on Supertone
like
Melodies
back
with
in the
them.
90s.
Yeah, that's London No Patola. That's that first album. So they actually stayed at our house. Shinda stayed at our house when he was like a teenager making beats in my brother's room. Yeah. So I was very lucky to have like a foundational sort of.
Imagine having like home video recording.
I do.
Just, like, making beats.
Yeah, we have pictures of him on
That's
this
awesome.
computer, like our family computer table, and him with his like beats making, and he would wake up every morning, do riyaz every morning. Like they were because it was rooted in that like classical tradition that my mom was following as well. It was like an incredible. I'm very lucky. I'm very lucky to have met the people I got to meet and be in that environment. And now it's also sets the precedent for the kind of music I'm into now, the kind of things I'm attracted to, and the things I'm like drawn to, and the kind of music I like to listen to now because of that foundation. Yeah.
You know, he was on our show, Sukshinder Shinda, and he discussed that, you know, there's some, you know, artists these days want to go into the studio at nighttime. They want to practice their music, you know, throughout the night hours. And he's a morning guy. Jadak up, get into the studio, and he does it 6 a.m. So we can vouch for that story because he's so militant in his ways. Like everything is to a procedure, to a T. And it's amazing to see the people that came up in that time following that work ethic and following that kind of protocol.
Yeah, I think when there's something to say about when you're an artist and you make it like a discipline and a practice. Like I think if you love something, you make it a practice regardless. Like you have to. A practice is not just a practice, you have to actually practice it. So you have to like do it all the time, and that's how you get good. Like what's that thing? It's like how many
10,000
hours? 10,000 hours, right?
Pro, yeah.
To become a pro. So how are you going to do that? If some people have like the God-given talent to just pick up a mic and be able to go, but they still need refinement. You still don't know how to talk into a mic. You still don't know how to get recorded.
Yeah.
There's still so much you have to learn on that side of things. So that comes from like Riaz, straight up.
And Rick, I don't know how you're going to follow that up with Binda Jat and Jazzy B.
My mom was making
I was just
grilled cheese
making
sandwiches.
I was helping my mom make
Samosas?
aloo
I'm frying pakorde on rainy days. And
I made food for my grandma. And,
no, what I admire the most about both of you guys is you're such a unit, you're such a team. Like, not only are you a happily married couple, the business acumen, the way that you guys operate on like your just day to day is unreal. Like, you know, sometimes Rick is in the limelight, sometimes Joe's in the limelight, sometimes it's both you guys behind the scenes and you're putting the restaurant or whatever brand you're pushing at that time in front. And the fact that you guys are so business inclined, like, is that from your parents? Is that from you guys meeting each other and pushing yourselves further? Like, where does that come from, the drive?
yeah, I think the work ethic comes from our parents. You know, seeing both our parents even now, what they've instilled in us as kids. We, you know, I get along so well with her family. She gets along well with my family. We're just a one big happy family, and we've seen each other. We've seen our parents hustle and grind, and so we're like, we have no excuse but to hustle and grind and make something of ourselves. Yes, our parents didn't have a chance to. They were here. They had to figure stuff out. They
Didn't have a safety net like we have a safety net.
We have a safety net, and so we have no excuse whatsoever to make it in life. And, you know, for us, it's like we want to make our parents proud. You know, this is something like, you know, we always talk about legacy mindset. You know,
That's mine and Rick's like favorite kind of like when we have like these like couple, like working out together as a couple, you have to have these check-ins. And one of our things is like legacy mindset. It's like, what do we want? Like our parents didn't have the opportunity really to think about legacy like that. They were like in the now, let's just kind of survive and support
the kids.
Yeah.
And so we have that like beautiful privilege of not thinking about, okay, not just our generation, but like multiple generations, which is something like our community has not had the chance to kind of do because we are first generation. And so we'll talk about like, oh, what does that look like for our kids, grandkids, great grandkids? So what is a legacy mindset in terms of when we leave here, what are we leaving for them?
Yeah. Yeah. So,
Well, the funny thing is your mom has left
Oh yeah.
something
Yes.
knowingly or not knowingly,
Yeah.
unknowingly.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah. So, you know, we just, you know, we've been working together since we've been married. I think
How long have you guys been married? If you don't
we've
mind
been
me
married
asking?
for almost
13 years this year.
Let's
Yeah.
make some noise for
Yeah.
that. Come on. Look at
We've been
that.
together for 18 years.
Yeah.
Wow.
And, you know, when I first met Jot, I was working on I had a marketing agency back then. And so I was a kid that just had this dream of having a marketing agency. And I don't know what she saw in me.
How did you guys meet, or where did you meet? Do you remember the story? Who
we have
tells
the
it
story.
best?
Oh, you got a story.
It's so funny.
just one of these, right? Yeah, that's the
Okay,
inside
so
joke behind it.
back in the day, like meeting online wasn't a thing. Like when we met in 2005, it wasn't a thing to meet online. And so we told everybody, my best friend Geethi was like, we made her our virtual line, but really there was no betrothal. He messaged me on something called High Five.
I remember
Oh
that.
yeah, I remember that.
So at our wedding, our inside joke with our friends, we're high fiving each other because, and my best friend got like a suit and everything, like she's a betrothed, but she wasn't. But now it's like so common to me online and whatever. But back then, almost 20
She
years
had
ago,
the
it was
similar
cool.
interest in music, and I was like, okay,
Yeah.
this is pretty cool.
Nice.
Punjabi chick that has like interest in U2 and John Mayer and Bon Jovi, and I'm like, okay, this is pretty cool. So I just sent the message, and
Yeah.
we started chatting after that.
That's
yeah.
awesome, man.
Yeah.
Good stuff. And so you guys meet. Obviously, you're dating. Where does the restaurant or the chef part of your life come into?
Before that, before the food stuff, we did art. That was our thing.
Okay.
So we started a company called the Glass Museum. And this was like in 2000 and like
6 or 7.
no 17 like 13 14
Oh, sorry. Yeah.
13 14
totally, yeah.
we started something called the Glass Museum. And so the Glass Museum was ours. It is now as a production house, but we started it as like a creative collective. And so we saw this incredible art being created by really cool people, and we're like, Rick, you and I have a platform. Rick had won a nice chunk of money from Recipe to Riches.
So he had already done the butter chicken.
Yeah,
lasagna.
he had done
Was this when you guys were touring Inquisitive and
Yes.
all that?
Yeah.
I remember that.
Right
So,
after,
we
yeah.
created the Glass Museum to support, like as a business, to support our work doing that. So we saw artists doing really cool shit, and we're like, okay, how do we make sure other people can see this? So I was like, okay, I'm going to use my background in like media and PR, and Rick's going to use his background in video and photography, and we put that together and we started like boosting artists. So we work with Inquisitive, work with Rupi, we work with Lily, we work with a lot of people just to
I think that was the
be
time.
a community effort to like push art forward, push the dial forward.
These guys are just dropping names, but that's
Yeah,
Rupi
it's
Kaur, who's like an international artist.
Yeah.
That's
Big time.
Lily Superwoman. Inquisitive, who's an amazing
Yeah.
artist. I mean, you guys are talking about some super big name artists that
Yeah.
have gone on to do some amazing things
Yeah.
internationally. The fact that you guys even thought about, providing a platform to them and giving them that push, that's amazing.
But I think what you have to remember is that like when you're like creating in Mississauga, Brampton, Toronto, we were in like a silo. At that time, like we didn't really look outside of what people were thinking about us. At that time, Just Meat was popping. Like everyone was just doing their
Yeah.
own thing and in their own lane. We weren't really looking at each other and be like, but we just showed up for each other. Like,
Yeah.
you played our first Inquisitive show.
Zoo Baby.
Oh,
Zoo
yeah.
Baby.
Yeah, Zoo Babies were there. Yeah,
You know,
yeah,
it was
yeah.
like we just
For those that don't know, so everybody knows Babu now because he made
Yes.
such great. Everybody knows Fateh because he's touring the world. But
Noise,
these guys,
Be Magic,
Noise,
yeah.
Be Magic, Villa.
Villa.
These guys are all amazing artists in their own right, and you guys gave them the opportunity to perform at one of your art shows.
Our first art show.
our first
Yeah.
art
Yeah.
show, our first ever
So we
art
did
show.
that first
Toronto.
art show downtown Toronto, which was the beginning of it was a shit show. Do you remember that?
Yeah, it's crazy.
But we managed and we got it going. And then a few months after that, we invited Inquisitive back, and then we did a North American tour with them. And we had no idea what the hell we were doing. We just
Who goes on tour like for an art show? Like for music, yeah, you figure it out. But an
yeah.
art show was crazy. to do
so
that.
we started off in Toronto, and then we went to New York, Brooklyn, Vancouver, and then ended off in California,
That's Sacramento.
And we planned everything from media to bookings to interviews to, it was and right after when we did that show, I had just won Recipe to Riches. So I had a lot of light on me. So I was like, okay, this is perfect. I get to go around and represent these artists and do an art show, but then I also get to network. So people always ask me, what did I do with that money? I'm like, well, it gave me a chance to network and build a foundation outside of just Ontario, right, in different parts of the world. Now I've got like amazing friends all over North America. We've got amazing contacts all over North America, and it was such a beautiful time.
Yeah.
But it was hard. It was challenging.
Yeah. Like
It-
you say, like working together, like because Rick and I worked together and we're married, that separation was so hard for so long. We had to figure that out, and we still figure that out multiple times. Like when you have to wear all the hats, like we're in a position right now where we have a team now. But that was this is like a 3-year thing that we have a team. Previous to working together for almost 10 years, like we didn't have video people, we didn't have sound people, we didn't have any of that stuff. We didn't have designers. We did every little thing you could think of at a production house. So it was so taxing because you can't ever turn off. Like,
No.
oh, you're together at work, and then you go home, and then you're still asking each other about work stuff.
And you're at home editing or you're working.
There was
or
like
you're-
no
yeah.
off button. I'm sure you guys all know. I was like, when you do a startup,
Yeah.
there is no days off.
no such thing as
You're
an off.
sacrificing
Yeah.
friends, family, functions, big moments in life.
Even just me time, like you're a married couple, sometimes you just need your own time too,
Yeah.
right? Like being with each other 24/7, revolving around business and all that. It's got to get taxing for sure.
It does, and I think communication is key, right?
Yeah.
If you have good communication and good understanding, and you support each other, at the end of the day, it definitely works out. But it gets challenging, like anything, right? It's challenging, and but we're here and we're still kicking it, and
Yeah.
we survived.
So, I mean, I want to key into something that you said there, and these two can probably attest to that. It's when you travel and you work in different cities or different parts of the world, the networking is probably the most important. The gig is the gig. You're going to go, you're going to do your job,
for
whatever.
sure.
But the type of people that you meet if you're in Australia, if you're in India, if you're in what was that place that you mentioned earlier, Goa?
Goa, yeah.
Like
Like
what,
gotta Goa.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean? But like
Yeah.
the type of people that you meet out there in the network, that's kind of what builds your foundation and the type of person you become in the business that you do, right?
Oh yeah.
It's like the relationships you build in these kind of things. You never know when you're gonna meet somebody down the line, and they're gonna come in handy, right? It's just
right.
always good to.
I love being able to go to a city and be like, yeah, I can go there and I'm going to meet XYZ because I've met them
It's-
through
yeah.
XYZ,
It's the best
or I've
thing ever,
been
like-
there, and
Yeah.
it's crazy. Having
Yeah.
like even India, having the contacts that we have in India is
100%.
insane.
Even like the most, I'm going to Saskatchewan tomorrow randomly, but
Okay.
like for the third time in the last like 5-6 years, because I randomly met these guys a couple of years ago and they brought me out, and I was like, it's an ongoing thing. It's like
Yeah.
you would never think that like there's a Desi population in Saskatchewan of all places. It's just like,
Yeah.
all right, third time is dope.
No, it's
Cool.
the beautiful human connection. It's a beautiful
Yeah.
thing. Like when you guys did the India tour with Babu,
yeah.
like just watching that from start to finish, you guys did it so quick.
I know.
And every show was sold out. And it's like just that network of calling someone up in India and be like, hey, we're doing a tour here. Bring your peeps,
Yeah.
spread the word, and then everyone just gets together and rallies behind you.
Yeah.
And that's
It's
the beautiful
crazy.
thing about our industry, right? And our people.
It's unreal. We just discussing that today about that one song that Babu had, and it literally took him around the world. And it's like
crazy.
Inquisitive. His art just attracted, our culture, especially because he was doing something that was new. It was cool. It was modern, but it was still artistic. And when we saw that, we're like, okay, I never understood art. Like I didn't understand what art was about and where it was at, and like why people put up these very expensive pictures on their walls. But you look at what Inquisitive did, and you're like, I would like to have a piece of that art on my wall, kind of thing. And you guys really kind of keyed into that and took advantage of the fact that you saw something early and you wanted to kind of share it with the world.
Yeah. I think like with like art, sorry.
No, go ahead.
The thing with art and food, there's like two common things that I think across everything is that like it has to be accessible. Like going to a fine dining Michelin restaurant, that's cool once in a while, maybe like once in a lifetime, but it's not what you want to do every single day. And same with art. Like if you want to appreciate it, if you see it and it moves you in any way, that's you appreciating art. Like it doesn't need to be complicated. If you look at something and you're like, oh, I feel that here. That's amazing. That's like a song. When you hear a song and it's like, I don't know what it is about this song, but it's hitting me in some way.
feels.
Exactly. And same thing with food. It doesn't need to be pretentious. It just needs to make you feel something. So with both like art and with food, the whole point was like telling our story. Like why people resonate with Rick's Good Eats is because it's not just Rick's story. Like you guys all resonate with it. Like, oh yeah, my parents hustled their asses off too. Like my mom also made Punjabi pizza, my mom also makes butter chicken lasagna at home, right?
I feel like sometimes you're such a Desi that you're so used to like Desi pasta, like you go and have
I
regular pasta. I'm
know.
like, oh, it's not the same.
No,
cake.
I was
Straight
just
up.
saying that,
Straight up.
Well, in the
chili.
intro, when he was talking about making pasta with his mom, Desi pasta is what we grew up
Yeah.
on. The way our mom
Exactly.
Yeah, who
made
puts Jeera on pasta? My mom does.
Yeah.
Exactly.
The torka is a base, and you mix in the
100%.
pasta and the cheese and all
But the
that.
thing is that this is like a uniquely Punjabi Canadian experience.
Yeah.
I talk to the other people from the diaspora and they don't have a similar experience. They have their own similar
Yeah, yeah,
experiences, but our experiences here are very specific to us. And that was our whole thing is like, okay, what is our community story and how can we like portray that to people?
Yeah.
And so Rick makes the food and I tell the story.
Yeah.
That's how
I
that's
remember
literally what we do.
Seeing him on Recipe to Riches, I'm like, this is the coolest thing in the fucking world. Like, it's a Desi guy making Desi like Canadian food, and it's like,
Yeah.
I really hope he wins. And like I watched it like all the way up until the end. I'm like, this is amazing.
The like recipe to riches behind the scenes, like Rick has to talk about that. You have to
Yeah.
talk about like
Can
what
you
they
give us that
they
whole
really
story?
wanted
Like,
to tokenize
break it
him,
down.
but Rick really stood his ground to try to keep it authentic.
Yeah, like-
yeah.
Let me pour another shot.
Let's all
Let me
get
take
on
off my
that.
jacket because it's getting hot. But that's another
I
story.
guess I'm
But,
having one too. We're all having one.
Yeah,
also.
I
shots?
want to
Okay,
know,
let's do
like,
it.
you know, how you got into the show and then how you stayed in
Yeah.
it, the whole thing.
So, Recipe to Riches.
JJ's having one.
Joel's having one.
No, not today.
I can't see how much I'm pouring there.
They're big, bro.
That's all. That's all.
They're Rick
All
size.
right. Rick
Some of them
size.
Rick size.
That's a huge
I'm gonna
drink.
take the smallest one. I gotta go to dinner with my nana nani after this.
That is an awesome shirt, by the way, Rick.
Yes, New Delhi company.
Nice.
It's getting hot in here, so taking off all my
We just got
clothes.
our heat fixed, so
This
we're
is,
taking it to the full
this
advantage.
is the free flow of our show where we get to eat Rick's Good Eat, have tequila,
Yes, yes.
and enjoy.
I love this. So, Recipe to Riches. I saw. Oh, we're doing shots, right? First, we're doing shots.
We can step on it.
Okay. Oh shit. So, Recipe to Riches. I saw season 1 had already started, and then that finished, and we were sitting
We
in.
watched the whole season because Rick's like, this is crazy.
No, we didn't see the first season.
Yes, we did.
Oh, yeah,
we watched the whole season. You
That's
were
right.
mad that you were like, how come I didn't know about this?
Yeah. I'm like, this is my story. I gotta win this. This is me. So then season 2 commercial came up, and I
Like,
was
super late at night. It was like
yeah.
1 or 2 in the
It was
morning.
2 in the morning. So I applied. We applied, and Joel helped me out with the application. And like 2 days later, I get a call from the producer, like, hey, we're from Recipe to Riches. They interviewed me. They're like, okay, we'll let you know in like a week or so. And then a day later, they call me like, we would love for you to come audition for the show. Cool. So I go in. We have to make our butter chicken lasagna. It's like American Idol.
It's straight up like American Idol. Like,
You present your
like we're
food.
we're like the whole as a
So did
family.
you, like,
we're
make it
sitting
there
in
or
like
you
the
pre-made
room.
it?
I made it at home, and then I
Okay.
went there, warmed it up, and like presented it and garnished and all that. And Jason Rosso, who's my mentor now, great friend. He used to own J Reds in Brampton.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
Urban Take that now.
Yeah.
He was the
Mentor.
guy that was on the show that was helping all of us, but he also was my mentor on the show as well. And so we go in, and Galen Weston's around the corner. We see him going at the back. He's going to try the lasagna. So I go in audition, and I get the golden card. And
Straight up like American Idol. Like golden ticket comes to
Yeah.
the door. Like
like
the-
was
And we were waiting on
cheering.
the other side. Like,
yeah,
yes.
we're like
they were
freaking
waiting.
out. Well, they were like, "Oh, Rick's gonna come in soon," and they made us like stand up. We're like, "Okay."
So
he got
right
it.
from the
Yo.
beginning,
Was-
they saw the recipe and they're like, okay, this is gonna be good. So they had cameras on us all day, and they were interviewing the family. They were doing all that. So it's like we're kind of new, like, okay, this is special. Like,
Yeah.
we have something here.
Was that
Something's
the only
happening,
recipe you guys were thinking, or was it like?
I had like 10 different
So
ideas.
many.
So,
we
I went to President's Choice stores, Loblaws and all that, and I went and I said, what's their best number 1 frozen item, which was lasagna. What's their number 1 ethnic item, which was butter chicken sauce. So it was like butter chicken lasagna.
So did you make that like just
you
based on that, or
serious?
was it butter chicken lasagna like a household thing that you guys?
We
really-
used to
No,
make
we make it.
We
We made it as
yeah.
well. And then he like workshop. He called everyone over and he made lasagna. So he made a couple of things, and like the butter chicken lasagna was like hands down like the
favorite.
dinner. It was like Christmas,
Yeah.
and everyone's like, "That's the one." That's the one.
So like, this seems like the winner. I feel like I can win with this. So then we entered in. That's my marketing background, right? Because I have a marketing and sales background. So I'm like, this is gonna sell, right? So we went in, did it, got the ticket. And then they did the show a few months later, and they called us to Toronto. We stayed in a hotel, and it was like a 4-day production, and pretty realistic. But it's like, I remember during the marketing challenge, they're like, okay, so we're with a marketing team. We're sitting down, and like, okay, so what do we call this lasagna? And I was like, what do you fucking mean, butter chicken lasagna? Right? Like, there's no other name for it. And then there's this like Goldie sitting in the cross of the table, old Birdie over there, and she's looking at me like she feel like she doesn't like me, and she's like, no, I think we should call it something else. And then I'm like, okay, here we go. So I'm like, well, what do you think we should call it? She's like, I don't know, like Taj Mahal butter chicken lasagna. Everyone's like, yeah, that sounds great. I'm like, are you kidding me? Like, do you know what Taj Mahal is? And they're like, no, but that sounds so cool. It's gonna sell. I'm like, no, you can't. That's like it's a shrine. Like, you can't take Taj Mahal unless I call it Golden Temple butter chicken lasagna. It doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
Right? So then they're like, no, and they're adamant about it. They're like, well, what do you think? I'm like, guys, from a marketing standpoint, butter chicken lasagna is going to sell. If you want to do something different, call it Rick Matharu's butter chicken lasagna. Or Matharu's butter chicken lasagna. No, we don't think. And I'm like, listen, if you call it Taj Mahal butter chicken lasagna, I forfeit. I'm not putting my name behind it. I was very adamant. Then after 45 minutes of arguing, they're like, okay, we'll call it Matharu's butter chicken lasagna. I'm like, okay, stand my ground. I'm not gonna put my name behind this. But that was anyways. That was like
good for you.
You have
for
to like
saying
really
that.
fight against
To
tokenization.
be in a position where
Yeah.
you're getting an opportunity, first of all, you got to think about this. Like, you haven't made it yet, and you just entered for this show. They like the product, and then for them to, most people would be like, yeah, whatever you want to call it, let's just call it
But
that.
they're just like
Give me the
going in
money.
like, oh, India, Taj Mahal.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
know.
Chicken.
But I think like
Good for
you
for
can
standing
say
up for
that. You can do that if like you're not like a person of color. You know, you could be like, oh yeah, I'll just roll with it. But like when we've been tokenized so much, and Rick has an opportunity to be like a Punjabi guy from Brampton on like a national TV show. If you like let yourself be tokenized again,
Yeah.
then what are you doing it for? You know,
Yeah, it doesn't
what's
represent
the
our
point?
community,
Like
right?
so many times, Rick's like, in these rooms. Rick and I take these meetings, and we're the only Punjabi people at the table. We're talking to like big production houses, and they're like, you know, mainstream networks, and they have no clue what a Punjabi person is.
Yeah.
You know, and so it's like you have to like stand your ground and clarify, or they're just gonna roll with it, and then you're gonna be swept away
to
by
them,
their
it's like,
tokenization.
let's make you a
Yeah,
like,
honestly.
that's who you are. I'm like, no, fuck you guys.
Yeah.
I'm not that. Like,
Yeah.
that's not who I am. That's not what our community is.
Yeah.
So let's do proper representation. This is who we are. This is what we do. You called us here for a reason. And either you take our advice or fuck off. I'm not working
yeah.
with you guys.
Shout outs for
Right?
not
And-
selling you out.
Yeah.
Make some noise for that, man.
Absolutely.
Come on.
Yes.
Most people would have took the check and ran, you know?
It was a
But
fight.
then like the thing is that with that show is that it came down to like community voting. Right?
Yeah.
Like at the end of it, like, yes, the judges chose like that Rick won his, like there was different categories. Rick won his category based on judges. But for him to win the entire season, it came down to people voting.
There was a 2.5 day voting period.
So there was a first
like I remember it was
process
like a
that was
texting
like...
Yeah, it was
because I texted in.
texted
Yeah.
in,
Yeah.
and or like emailed in. Yeah.
Because part one for my research was like a $25,000 cash
Yeah.
reward.
Yeah.
And then you went for the $250,000.
So there's 21 people, 7 categories.
Yeah.
And then they narrowed down to 7 people. So the first category, whoever won the category, wins 25,000, and their recipe is then presented at like all the President's Choice stores across across Canada that weekend. So everyone goes, tries it every week, 7 weeks. Then the last part is the 7 people are now, everyone's voting for them.
Now that people have like gone to this grocery store, picked up and tried the food,
Tried
now they
all
get
the
to
food.
vote for it.
Okay.
So they tried all 7 dishes. Now they get to vote for the best one. And that was 2.5, 3 days. We were like campaigning, like I was running for the Prime
Like
Minister of
different
Canada.
election child. Like he was
Go
like,
get it.
Like flyers, radio,
my
interviews.
dad's a taxi driver. We had printed out like, because we're in printing and marketing. Rick had printed out like cards and had designed like vote for Rick, and we had put the picture on. And my dad's like in his cub, vote for my son.
My
Vote
dad,
for my
yeah.
son.
My mom worked at
Dad worked at
Chrysler. He's handing out to everyone
Yeah.
On the
at
line?
plant.
Damn.
My mom worked at Hyundai for Navbatia,
Yeah.
and she was just giving it to their
Wow.
people, and they were spreading the like.
Like
it was just
straight up
like
calling
radio
friends and
interviews,
family.
TV interviews. We did a video
That was
with
the
Lily.
original hustle. Now it's
Yeah.
all Instagram,
Social
and
media.
WhatsApp groups. That was the
Yeah.
original
Yeah.
hustle. Yeah.
That's original
Absolutely.
What, this was
Hand
what,
in
like 2008, 9?
No, this is
10?
2012 or 13.
Well, okay.
Well, yeah, 12.
Yeah.
12.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
11 or 12.
Yeah.
I knew I
12.
was still in school at some point. I wasn't
Yeah,
sure which
yeah.
grade, but
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, we won that, and it was an amazing experience. That kind of put me on the map for food. And then after that, I decided, one would think you go into food and you start a restaurant. I was like, no, let's go do some art, and that's where we started the Glass
Yeah.
Museum, where we represent our artists.
Sorry, going back to that. So when you do that, does President's Choice own the trademark of the lasagna?
They
'Cause-
owned it for a period.
5 years.
Yes.
5 years.
I couldn't do anything with it for 5 years.
Okay.
I don't get any royalties from it.
Do they
They
still
own it.
carry it in their stores?
No,
No,
they just recently took it off.
recently stopped. Yeah.
Ah.
So
Yeah.
we
Remember the
carried it at
purple
Rick's
box?
Good Eats.
I don't know,
Yeah,
is
that
it
was the
sharp paneer or is
question.
it chicken though?
Butter
Pardon?
chicken. Butter
Is
chicken.
it, you guys
lasagna.
have it? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, at the restaurant?
Yeah, is it
we have
sharp-
both, shredded
Oh,
paneer
okay,
and
okay.
butter chicken.
So
Ah,
maybe it was
okay.
sold out the last time I was
Yeah.
there.
Yeah, maybe. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's our top seller.
It sells out fast.
Yeah.
Curious, did you get any data from the selling?
No, I didn't get any
No.
data, but they said, so when I had won the competition, Dana McCauley, one of the judges, she came up to me, and she's the marketing guru. No, she's the product
The product batching up and
batching
like
up. She
production
was
side
that
of
guru.
things,
And she
manufacturing
goes,
side.
her and I forgot his name now, but the marketing guru there, they're like, I don't know what you did, but you got so many votes. Like, you almost broke our system. Like,
Damn.
people were voting left, right, and center. You've had the highest votes in the history of the show.
Punjabi
Crazy.
community
Let's
on
go.
top.
Oh,
Yeah.
you see-
Yeah.
you see your
Do you
person on
remember?
TV like, yo, that's
Yeah,
it.
it's up, but I'm gonna go for it. Go
They didn't
for
tell
it.
us the number.
Oh,
they didn't
no,
tell us.
number 2 and 3. Like, who was your main competition? Would you say?
It was
in
two
that?
desserts.
It was 2 desserts.
Two
Yeah.
desserts. I was up against two
okay.
desserts. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so,
Savory over
yeah,
sweet
they
every
said
day.
that. And then every time I went to like a Fortino's, I would talk to the managers there.
Yeah.
And they're like, your product is flying off the, like,
That's the data I would love
Yeah.
to
I
know.
know.
It's
I
I remember
crazy.
trying to find it. Like, I couldn't find it. Then, like, there's a good no frills on like airport and Bavaria. Like, I finally saw like the purple box.
Yeah.
Business corta. I was like, okay, I'm gonna try this finally.
That's a
They were
corta from
so-
our Sangeet from our wedding.
Yeah. They sold out quite a bit.
awesome.
And it's like, I remember going to Vancouver and meeting with like some people in Vancouver. That was the time I was doing research for the Inquisitive show. And I remember going to the grocery stores and it was sold out there everywhere.
Wow.
And every time I meet someone, I would just take a lasagna. I'm like, here you go. Here's a little gift. And they would love it. Like, they're just like, this is amazing.
Yeah.
Because I found one store in Surrey that had like 10. So keep you all 10.
It's crazy though, the
crazy.
impact it has. Because like my cousin came from England last winter, and he's like, "Oh, my friends talk about this like shahi paneer butter chicken lasagna you can get." I'm like, "Yeah, dude, I know the spot. Let's go."
Nice.
Yeah, it's literally
incredible.
anybody who's not from this city. Like, even our friends that were here earlier were saying that, you know, they plan their departures and their flights around you guys. Like, when we are leaving, we're jumping on our flight, we're gonna stop at Rick's, we're gonna have a bite, and then we're gonna get on our flight. And that's, you know, them that are in the industry. But people like my family that come, I haven't been to Rick's, I want to go to Rick's. And it's
Yeah.
like, you guys have really built a brand that people want to get to.
Yeah, no, it's you know, it's been a blessing. We have such a strong community that supports us, and you know, it's everyone's story. It's not just our story. It's all of our story,
You know-
right? Being Punjabi Canadian, this is what we do, and the reason, like, you know, for me, I'm the type of guy that I take my passions and I find a way to make money off of it. So I've done that with security, with marketing, with photography, with videography, with editing. Now I'm doing it with food. Now I'm like, okay, what's next? Because I'm kind of board for like a food, but the business expansion, making it into a multiple location, you know, outlet of being now the business, you know, owner and really just taking it to the next level. And the other day, someone asked me like, why do you still do this? And I was like, you know what? I don't have that answer right now, but the main reason I'm still here and still doing this is because food brings people together, and our next generation, the generations after that, they're going to forget about our culture. Or it's a mix. You see a lot of couples now, they're mixed cultures, they're mixed couples. And I don't want people to forget about our culture. So if I can at least do a small part through food, why not? This is approachable food. It's burgers, pizzas, pastas, all that. People know what all that is. But if I can put a Punjabi twist to it and we can offer that to the next generation for people to come and just enjoy food and be inquisitive about like, well, I know what a cheeseburger is, but what's a Punjabi cheeseburger? What's Punjabi? What's Punjab? What's Indian? What's this? What's that? Then they start asking you all these questions. And that's where people get like inquisitive and they're just like, okay, I want to learn more about my culture or your culture or whatever it may be. You know, I get bikers that come in. I remember when the first year of the business, I had these, so, you know, you see Rick's Good Eats, you don't think Punjabi food or Indian food. You just think it's Gora food. It's like white man food, right? Rick's Good Eats. It should be Sandeep's Good Eats, right? But it's Rick's Good Eats. So you get people walking in and they're like,
Sandeep is its government name, by the way, guys.
So they come in and they're like, I remember this one guy comes in and there's 4 guys. They're in like Harley Davidsons, bikers.
Like leather vests,
Leather
like the
vest.
full
And is that the
biker
location
gear.
here on Kennedy?
Yeah.
Big beards. So they walk in. I'm like, and this one was in the front. I'm like, all right, these guys are gonna walk in. They're gonna walk right out because you're gonna say it's Indian Punjabi food, right? They walk in. I'm like, they're like, we'll get 4 cheeseburgers, please, with bacon. And I'm like, well, just to let you know, like, we're not like a typical burger joint. We do Punjabi Canadian comfort food. I get the whole spiel. And he looks at me, and I thought he was gonna kick the shit out of me, right? Like, oh, yeah, fuck this shit. We're leaving. He goes, you think I don't know that? And I'm like, what? I'm like, no, but like it's like Indian flavors. Like it's Chuck burgers, it's 6-ounce Chuck burgers, it's got bacon, but we tandoori. He goes, bro, you're the best fucking burger in the world. Give me 4 right now. I'm like, coming right up, man. Like, all right, let's do this. I'm like,
Crazy.
That is crazy.
That's awesome.
yeah,
Oh,
it was just
man.
like, I was like, man, that made my day because I thought I was gonna get my ass kicked. But these guys love the food. And then he used to come in every week and he goes, bro, I just dropped off my wife, her friend, and her husband at the keg. And I was like, they're from Georgetown. They're like, you guys have a good dinner? I'm going to Rick's. He would come by himself.
By himself.
and eat a
no
Punjabi
way.
cheeseburger,
And why is
and then meet them, and
While
then go to the
they're at the-
movies. So he's like, "Fuck the keg, I'm coming to you guys." I'm like, "This
That's
is amazing."
It's crazy though how many people have like you've made an impact on. Like,
Yeah. I think that's the whole point, right? Like to build bridges, to like try to make more connections and try to like, I don't know, like really spread the love and who we are to others and like have an open door policy a bit. Like that's what food does, right?
So I like before I heard you say that like, oh, I have a huge, or like your main following or bigger following is Vancouver.
Yeah, so
It is. I heard that, right?
Yeah, we get a lot of people from Vancouver asking us, "What do you
and
want in
Vancouver, when they're visiting, they're
Oh, so did
rolling through.
So like expanding wise,
Yeah.
you would.
So we're in the works of that right now. So finally, after we've been open for 7.5 years, I've been doing this for 10 years.
Yeah.
With the pop-ups and
I
everything.
used to come to the pop-up. as well.
Yeah,
Biscuit.
you were at the
Yeah.
house all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
After 6 years of just hustling and grinding and literally putting blood, sweat, and tear into the business, I'm able to just step away and work on the expansion and the bigger
Yeah.
picture of things. So right now we're looking at, we've got a food truck permanent location in Brampton North.
Shout out to Brampton North. I
yeah,
just
yeah.
saw that the other day and I called him. I was like, thank
it?
you.
The food
Yeah,
truck?
we just opened up in Brampton.
Yeah.
So the 35 Cherry Crest, it's on the Esso gas
Oh,
station.
they
The
have
food
another. They
truck's
have like a
there.
Basant Kulfi there
They
too,
did,
right?
Yeah, yeah.
No, it's just
It's
our
us now.
food truck.
Okay.
Yeah, so our food truck's there permanently. So I'm looking for a third food truck. We're expanding into the East End. We're looking at Markham location right now.
Oh damn.
Once that's set up, then my GM and I and Joe, we're going to go to Vancouver. I've got my real estate reps looking at property out there, and we're just going to try to figure out what's the best location. And I don't want to be living in Ontario for the rest of my life, so I'm like East Coast, West Coast life.
Nice.
Vancouver, California, Toronto, Montreal, New York. This is
Off,
a good
off the
little.
top of your head, what makes
somebody to come
sense?
to Cali.
Would it be like Surrey or would it be like White Rock?
I don't think it'd be like straight up Surrey. I think it'd be just outside of like 30 minutes from Surrey, 30 minutes from downtown, 30 minutes from like Abbotsford, like kind of like somewhere in that.
Yeah.
We're like, listen, I'm in the middle of fucking nowhere right now. Courtney
Yeah.
Park and Kennedy.
Yeah.
People thought I was stupid for opening up there.
But can
But if
we can we talk about the story about where you're located? You were next to a very famous rap artist
That's
in
right.
his
Yeah.
studio, right?
That's right.
We were
Huge.
beside Belly's studio.
Belly's
was
studio. I
next
didn't
door to
know that.
us.
And
Yeah.
the unit that he took over, it was Belly Studio, and he still had plaques and stuff in there when you guys
I
took
still have
over.
them. I still have them.
Yeah. So Belly's brother was running the studio for him.
Ramsey, yeah.
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 And so it was busy, the studio. Like
The studio.
late at night.
So the funny thing is, when we first moved in, we went there at night. We were just renovating, and there's neon lights. And we go to the back. There's fancy cars, and you can smell weed. And we
and the
looked at
windows
each
are
other.
like black, have like black film on them, and you can just see like the top of like the neon lights coming off the top of the windows. And we're like, what is this place?
And then we're like, oh my God, is this a massage parlor or something? Like,
We were so scared. We're like, what are we next door
we're
to?
like, oh, punga baggy. Like, this is not good for business, right? So then I go next door and knock on the door, and I open up the door, and the guy opens up, and it was Ramsey. He's like, hey, what's up? I'm like, hey, we're your neighbors. He's like, yeah, what's up? Walk inside. It's a cloud of fucking smoke, just weed everywhere. I'm like, what is this place? He's like, oh, it's a music studio. My brother's Belly. I'm like, oh, he's like, yeah, The Weeknd has been here. French Montana was here last week. I'm like, oh, this is dope. Like, this is amazing. So then
And they
we
were
became
great
really
customers.
good friends. Yeah. I would
dope.
get calls at 3 a.m, like missed calls. I remember one time I got a bunch of missed calls, and I'm like, I wake up in the morning, I call Ramsey. I'm like, what's up, man? And he called. He's like, yo, The Weeknd was here. He wanted some food. Oh, you can't call me at 3 a.m. You let me know beforehand, man.
I'll stay ready.
I'll stay ready.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, that was Belly Studio, and then we took it over about just before the pandemic, and that's our Comedy Street Kitchen now.
Wow.
And so
Which
that feeds.
you know about this.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Shout outs to Neighborhood Electrical.
Thank you
Yeah.
so much. Yeah,
Takes care of all
absolutely,
electrical
man.
needs.
Yeah. No, thank you guys, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
straight up.
We have a close history. You guys were actually the MCs at my sister's wedding.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We married into your guys' family.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then also, we've had a good working relationship. I consider you guys family, man.
Absolutely.
Likewise, man. Thank you for all the
Absolutely.
opportunities. Absolutely. And that's my favorite part about your story is like working with you guys. I've learned so much. And when you walk into Rick's Good Eats, if you've never been there, it's not a traditional restaurant. Like you see art on the walls. You see who does those sketches for you guys.
Birdie
menus?
draws. Farmeet Birdie
Yeah,
is our
Farmeet.
is our designer. So previous to this, I used to get up on a ladder every few weeks and like chalk write the menu. And people would lean up against it and smudge it off. And we took the pandemic as like a way to like reset almost and redo our vision, because when you're like in the business, like when we started Rick's Good Eats, Rick was on the line. I was in front of house. I would do like be on cash all morning, get there in the morning, prep all morning with Rick in the kitchen, jump on cash for lunch rush, leave to go to the radio, do my radio show, come back for dinner rush, and be there from like 9 a.m. to like 10 p.m. and then do it for
Every
3 years
single day.
straight.
And it was
No
like,
days
it was
off.
my mom and I online, Jot, Priya, my masi in front.
My
Josh
chachi on
Chachi
samosas,
Like,
my
it was a
cousins. It was like
My dad
family
in and out
business.
from his work to like,
Wow.
it was crazy. It was
even
crazy.
till today, you still see the family coming in and out, and
Yeah.
everybody.
My
puts
chachi
it-
still the samosa auntie, you know,
Wow.
yeah, straight up.
That is
And so
unreal.
like when you're like in the hustle like that, you kind of like don't focus on the things you need to focus on, which is like marketing and branding and what are you trying to say here. And so Parmeet was a part of like that like redesign and really making us be a cohesive story of what we're trying to tell here. So our thing is like Rick's influence draws heavily from like the 90s, 2000s, early 2000s, but early 90s nostalgia. Like he loves his like old school cartoons. He loves his vintage graphic tees, and he loves that like video game kind of aesthetic. And so we really wanted to bring that in, and like what is like that experience of most kids growing up in the GTA area from that time. So we really drew from that story, but also still be Punjabi. And so the mural that was painted, Parmeet did that, our menu and all that stuff. So I art direct, and she is our incredible designer.
Yeah.
She's so good.
Sorry, I take bites of the chicken in between because it's so damn good. But that's what I mean. If you haven't been to the store, just the experience of going in there, it's an experience in itself. The food is one part of it. The store, when you walk in, I don't want to ruin it for anybody who hasn't been there, but
Come by.
you gotta check it out.
Legit.
You walk in, you have the Polaroids of all the people who have been there, so
Yeah.
it's really cool. I want to go back to the touring of the restaurant before you had the actual physical location. You guys toured.
We did
Rick's
pop-ups.
Goodies, pop-ups.
Yeah.
He mentioned briskets, but you also did it in New York, I think.
We did it in London.
We did
London, England. That's where it was.
Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah.
So
What was that all about, and how did that work?
Yeah, so we had. Do you want to tell the story, or should I tell the
No,
story?
you tell it.
Okay, cool.
I'll jump in when I want to.
Okay, cool. We had an opportunity to pop up in London with our good friends Jyoti and James. Jyoti is Jot's best friend that went to university with
Oh,
you
yeah.
guys as well, and they lived in London, England, and they said, we always talk about the food scene in London, how it used to be so shit like 10 years ago, and now it's
Insane.
the best.
It's
food
so good
scene.
now.
It's so diverse and such so many fusion restaurants and just restaurants in general that are opening up there. And they thought that it'd be kind of cool to have Rick's Good Eats in London. And so we talked back and forth, and we're like, well, you know what? Let's just try a pop up there. So they got a space, and they flew us down. We did a meet and greet, and it was a one-day event. We sold our samosas there and our chaat fries, and I think that was it, right?
Yeah.
Samosas and fries. And we had 100+ people come out. BBC London, Sunny and Shay came
Sunny and
out.
Shay.
Oh yeah.
Legends.
Yeah,
Legends.
Amazing people.
Yeah,
came out.
Incredible.
just,
people.
some artist that came out as well.
Yeah.
Candy was there, and
Yeah, Jasmine Sarah was there.
yeah, so a lot of family. So we just did like a meet and greet. We showcased our samosas, and people loved it. So I think 3 or 4 months later, we found a residency there, and Jyoti and James came to Canada. They trained with us for a week. They learned how to make the samosas, the spices, the food. They learned the flavors. They went back with our spices. We're literally shipping spices back and forth because our secret is our spices. My mom is called the Spice Queen. We know now that we can go anywhere in the world and replicate a restaurant because of our spices and direction. That's our secret.
Damn.
It's our spices that make our food. And so they took our spices back. We did a pop-up there in Zone 1 in London at a coffee shop. And that went really well. It was called a secret. Actually, no. It was called Rick's Good Eats first.
No, then we changed it to Secret Samosa Club.
Yes. Because people are like,
We
well,
tried
who's
to be.
Rick and where's
we
Rick?
went. We
wanna meet this Rick
It was
guy.
Rick's Good Eats. It was RGELDN.
Yeah.
So Rick's Good Eats London, but people, if Rick's not there, people are like, okay, so who's Rick? What
Yeah.
what is it? It didn't make the same sense because Rick's Good Eats was actually Rick's food blog's name. And so because it was a food blog, and then people were like, oh, but we want to try your food. Then Rick's like, okay, and then let me start doing pop-ups. So it was natural for us to go from Rick's Eats as a blog to a pop-up
I was
to a
a food
restaurant.
blogger before this, by the way.
Ah,
So
okay.
20 years ago, when no one had a food blog, I was doing food blogging with like 2 followers, my mom and my dad.
And me.
This is before you as well. So it's just mom and dad, and then Joe came in to throw my
what
third
is
follower.
food blogging? That's going to restaurants and discussing.
Yeah,
your
making
experience?
food, reviewing
Reviewing
food,
taking photos of my own food, popping
Nice.
it up on email back then, and
Tumblr.
and
Tumblr
just
days.
showcasing my art through food.
You used to do that on TV as well too, right?
Yeah, exactly.
I had a TV
That-
segment, Bollywood
That was
Boulevard.
after Recipe Riches. He started doing
yeah.
online. Yeah. So
Morning
that was all
shows.
Rick's Good Eats. Like that was all part of Rick's Good Eats blog. Was he would do the TV show on Omni. He would do the segment and then he would put it up on his blog after. And that's people were like, but we want to try your food. And then Bollywood Boulevard got canceled. Like Omni as a whole.
Omni got canceled.
Omni as
Yeah.
a channel
Really?
went
Yeah.
black. Yeah.
Neither
The Asian side of it or the whole channel?
the
whole
whole
channel.
thing. They like closed it and then they reopened it recently.
Yeah, we went to do edit, and they're like, "No, sorry, you don't have a show anymore." I'm like, "What?"
Yeah. I was Manj's at it too. It was Manj's episode.
Yeah, man from RDB.
Man's
Yeah,
music? Oh,
we shot in our kitchen.
Yeah.
The next day we found out. We're like,
Yeah, and they're like, "Oh, it was such a good episode."
it was such
too.
a good episode.
Such
So
a
we put it
fun
up on Rick's Good Eats.
Yeah.
So then when we were Rick's Good Eats London, but it didn't work in London. So then we had to kind of adjust. And so because we were popping up and like we couldn't really afford to do it in like these super high level spots that were like right on the high street, we had to like kind of use our marketing background again. So we would call it the Secret Samosa Club because you had to kind of find our little spot that were secrets, and then we kept popping up. And so what we do is that people get off the tube station, we tell them which tube station to get off of, and then we start sticking our little samosa buddy. It was like a little sticker of a samosa character that I drew, and we would stick them all the way. So you would follow the
You also had a little tit coming out.
stuff.
Love it.
Follow that
Love
to
it.
get
So you
to the
follow
spot.
that spot, follow it to get to the spot. So it was like
The
kind of
breadcrumbs, yeah.
exactly. And we would like as you got closer, you would start like seeing like little A signs saying like samosas this way, and that was how we would pop up because it was like a necessity. And then that became our pop up in London was Secret Samosa Club.
Crazy.
And then one of our biggest residency that we had was at
Great Gun Social.
Great Gun Social. 2.5 weeks. Sold that every single night.
We had people come from like the Midlands, come from like
5 hours away.
So
we were
far.
We were featured in BBC London. We were featured in BBC, Time Out magazine.
Time Out.
Wow.
We were
And
featured in
it
London
was-
in the Times, like the London Times. We were
Yeah.
featured in all of magazines.
And that was such a fucking great time because we only had the main floor. They had to open up the second floor, and they've never done that in history of opening Great Gun Social because they had so many reservations. So the first 2 nights were like, guys, we're getting a lot of reservations. We're turning away a lot of customers. So
And
like
this was
open up
strictly
this.
for samosas?
No, we did a full.
We did our full
like,
menu.
Basically, we took our Rick's Good Eats menu and then made it into like a sit-down concept.
Okay.
But it was still mainly like samosas are a thing.
Yeah,
like
yeah,
you guys
yeah.
thought today. Like they're like that's our family recipe. The pastry is Rick's grandma's recipe. It's what we started the pop-ups for just samosas
Yeah,
in
yeah,
the
yeah.
beginning. So samosas is like what we are known for.
Yeah.
But then we expanded everything afterwards out.
We had our like loaded fries, our Punjabi cheeseburger. We had about
We had
6,
this, the
7
Nori fried
fries.
chicken.
Nori fried chicken, gobi wings, and we had
Gobi wings are so fire.
I know.
gobi wings,
They're like
yeah.
a limited item too. They
Yeah.
would come out often.
So we did that for 2.5 weeks, and it was the best time because Jyoti would go in the morning and she would take care of all of her prep, organize her fridges, and then Jyoti and I would come at 10 a.m. We'd have an espresso. We get our prep done and nice small kitchen, like literally
Like a box.
half the
It
size
was
of this table.
London like real estate. It's like
Yeah.
right.
like
But
you
it was-
stand in like the whole like what 6 hour
Yeah.
service. You're just standing in your spot and you're just pivoting.
We had a
'Cause you
porter.
can't move.
Yeah.
We had a porter. We had Dino, our main chef. We had myself, Jyoti, and then sometimes James. And we would get ready for. We had like a small lunch rush and then dinner rush. It was packed. And every night
Yeah.
sold out. And by the end of the night, we're tired. We go downstairs. We drink with the staff, our bartenders. We just hang out with them and repeat for 2.5 weeks. It was the best
It
time
was
that we ever
incredible.
had.
It taught us so much about like hospitality,
Yeah.
what people want and what it is to make it in like that kind of a setting. Because Rick's Good Eats is like fast casual. Like you come
Mm-hmm.
in, you order. It's kind of like fast food, but it's not like a sit down restaurant like that. But it's quality food. We call it fast food, but it's really high quality food.
The food that you're gonna get at my restaurant. I mean, I know the pricing is a little high, and people always complain about pricing, but it's like I'm only gonna serve you food that I would serve my family and friends. So you're getting good quality chicken, you're getting good quality beef, you're getting good quality everything. Because nowadays you can get the shittiest quality, and you'll know,
Yep.
and it's bad food.
And it's all made to order, right?
Yeah, it's all,
All
made to order, right? And so, we're fast casual, but we make sure that the food is home quality, good food.
Like we're talking about the spices. I kind of smell like garam masala right now because we're literally in the kitchen waiting for the food to be ready. And
It's
we
my
do.
favorite cologne.
I know. We do everything from scratch. Like
Food
Rick's
and
mom
garam.
takes the whole spices. She roasts them herself. We grind them. Like everything on this is from scratch. We don't bottle buy almost anything.
No MDH at Rex Good Eats.
We have some things at
we have
MDH.
MDH,
Chunky
yeah.
Chop Masala. You can't get away from MDH. Yo, you gotta give the
Chunky
OGs
Chop
the
is a
OGs.
classic.
You got
What is MDH?
It's like the masala, the
It's
guy
like
with the pag.
with the pag.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, come on.
He's classic. He's awesome.
That Parle G, yeah, there's some things that are like nostalgic,
Maggie.
classic.
We
Maggie,
use
you
Maggie.
we use Maggie's.
Yeah.
There's some things you cannot emulate because that's a part of it, but like the majority of things we do in house.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You guys sell some of the spices as well, right? Like
Yeah,
there's
yeah,
Mijit's,
we are just-
your mom,
that's-
sorry.
Do you remove some of the spices that make it
No, it's
Sorry?
literally
like like you have special spices that only you can do when you go open up a restaurant? You can use your spices.
So-
the ones that you're selling,
No,
do you
no,
like
no.
remove a certain one?
it's literally from
It's
the
all the
batch. It's
same-
from the
same
exact
batch.
ones.
Okay.
Yeah,
But the only person that knows that recipe is my mom and myself. That's it.
yeah. I
My
don't
mom
even
comes in
know.
twice a
Do
week.
you ever
She
fly
makes them.
together?
Sorry?
Do you ever
It's
fly
like the Coke
together?
No. Briefcase, handcuffed to each other.
Guys, before we forget, and I will forget because of tequila,
Which we never had, by the way.
I know.
So cheers. to
This show is
Cheers.
made to celebrate people like yourselves, the people that have worked hard as entrepreneurs, as artists, in the industry, have created a name for not only, themselves and their families, but for our community as a whole. We're super proud of you guys. And in our culture, when we celebrate something, we celebrate with sweets.
Aww.
So, sorry for the delay. I should have grabbed them and had them in my lap. But when we celebrate,
Aw.
we celebrate with laddus.
I
So
love that.
we can thank you guys after you leave. We can thank you
that's
after
so
you're gone.
cute.
Well,
you
we
guys.
want to give you guys your laddus while you're here. I got a box.
If Raj Dani is watching, we're open to sponsorship.
Yeah.
We got a box for each of you. There you go.
Are we getting a picture too? Hold on.
In our culture, we celebrate with laddus to show appreciation, to show
these are
love
the
when there's something great
That's
that
so
happens. We want to tell you guys to your face. We want to tell you while you're here that we love you, we support you, and we're so proud of the fact that you guys have done so much for our community, so much for
Thank you.
our culture, and you continue to stand up for it and create it and push it forward. So make some noise for Jot and
Aw,
Rick.
thank you.
No, you guys, honestly, I'm speechless. This is amazing.
Yeah.
No one's ever given me laddus like this, by the way. But you guys are also amazing. You guys are putting the community in the map, whether it comes to music, culture. I think there's it's beautiful to see our community come together and work together. I feel like there's a certain time in the last maybe 5 years where everyone was just doing their own thing. But at the end of the day, we all come together and we all support each other
Yeah.
and make it so our community is on the map. So shout outs to you guys as well for doing what you guys are doing and putting podcasts like this, because there's so many stories out there that need to be told. There's so many artists out there that need to be exposed of their story and what they're
Yep.
doing and the hustle, because this shit is not easy. This shit is the hardest thing. Number one, we're writing our own paychecks.
Yep.
The harder we work, the more money we make. The more money we make, the more we can do for our family and our people around us. And we just keep growing. It's a legacy mindset, right?
Yeah.
We want to make sure that our kids and our kids' kids are set in the future. We don't have to do this. We can do something
in,
else.
punch out.
Yeah.
Punch in, punch
Yeah.
out.
Or you
Well,
can think short term and do something just for yourself now.
Exactly.
What you guys said has been kind of ringing in my head about legacy mindset. It's such a great way to put it, because we always think about us and now and how do we support our wives, our children, or our parents, and we're thinking about what's around us. But legacy means when you leave this world, what have you left behind? Our culture really stands on that. That's why we come from landowners. That's why we come from not selling what we have to continue to give that down the line. But now that we're in a new country, legacy has to continue, and you guys are doing that by putting these staple restaurants in our communities. These guys are doing that by opening these. It's not easy to run a place like this and have you guys all the equipment coming in.
Yeah,
and
it's
the amount of
impressive.
artists.
Walking through is impressive.
Yeah, so it's a big applaud to Cam. has 7 cameras on right now. You know, like he carries all that stuff on a daily. I swear he's got a
I don't know
camera
where to look now.
in his
I feel like I'm being
pocket.
interrogated.
I tried to forget that they were here, and now I'm very conscious that they're all around.
A big applause to everybody that puts in that effort and puts the work in every day, because the legacy is the mindset, and I'm really going to carry that. That's one thing that I'm.
Can I just add one more thing? Legacy mindset, like, yes, it's definitely financial, but it's like the impact. Like, what are we doing this for? What are we saying at the end of the day? And like, the whole thing, what the Glass Museum, like the reason we called it that is that because we wanted to be authentically us. Like we call it honest art. Yeah. It's Glass Museum because you can see through it. It is what it is, and we're not trying to be anybody else. We're not trying to be anyone else's lane but our own. And if you do that authentically from your heart. Like, there's no overlap with other people. Like, yes, there's going to be other restaurants. Yes, there's going to be other companies. There's going to be other producers. But if you do you and you tell your story, there's nothing that can stop you, and that legacy will stay because you just got to do you.
Yeah, I know. You know, me being Rick of Rick's Good Eats, it's been such a hard. It's been one of the hardest things for me because I always have to be on. I always have to be the face of the company, and I'm like trying to figure out a way to separate myself from Rick's Good Eats. But like Joe said, if you're just authentic to yourself and be you, which this is who I am. This is who you're gonna get at the restaurant. This is who you're gonna get on my social media. Maybe a little bit amped up. Maybe the tequila's gonna amp me up a little bit. You know, but it's like you just have to be you, and you're not anyone else. You're selling an honest product, an honest whatever it is that you're selling.
Selling you at the end of the day.
Yeah,
exactly,
absolutely.
Exactly, right? There's only one Rick, there's only one JJ, there's only one of you out there. So it's like, do you and be the best that you can be, because when you work on yourself, you know, and you work on your mental state and yourself, you're going to amplify that to everyone else around you in your circle, and they're going to be the best of themselves, and it's a ripple effect, right? It amplifies so much, right? And
so let's drink some tequila.
I drank mine. Shit.
Did you already? Yeah, pour some wine.
You want some of that? Here, take half of
I don't
mine.
want it. I'm good.
Oh, I'm gonna take a sip.
I'm sorry, I couldn't wait.
None you're going to be waiting.
We talk about all the great things, we talk about all the success, but we also have to talk about, you know, there's tough days that you guys go through. There is a lot of, you know, your guys' business is based mostly on social media, so you get a lot of interaction. One thing that I noticed and that we actually personally discussed was you did a review for a butter chicken sandwich for Burger King. So it was a friendly review that, like, you know, you're just going there to try the burger or a sandwich. I don't even know what it was exactly. And the backlash that you caught for just giving your honest opinion on this sandwich was just unreal. Can you walk us through that and tell us what happened there?
So Burger King came with a butter chicken burger and a poutine. And I was like, okay, cool. Let's go check this burger and poutine out, because I already can tell that they didn't consult with any Indian or Punjabi or firm out there. They just kind of took our flavors and put it in a burger and said, let's make it into a Burger King item. And, you know, I do a lot of consulting on the side. Part of Glass Museum, we do a lot of consulting for restaurants, for brands. I've done a national campaign with Mucho Burrito. I do a lot of work with Kara Group and Milestones and a bunch of other restaurants, which I don't talk about too much on my social media. But when it comes to Punjabi Indian flavors, a lot of these companies come to us and they talk to us and to make sure that it's, you know, it's properly
Appropriate.
done.
It's done well. Like,
it's done well, right? The flavors are there. It's somewhat authentic. They can't be 100% authentic. We're not asking for that. But we're asking for, if you're going to take our culture and our food and you're going to put it on your menu, at least consult with someone that knows what's up.
we're not saying just do it with us. We're saying, like, there's so many, like, you know, we're tight with so many people in the industry, because when you're in the hospitality industry, I'm sure just like any other industry, everyone like looks out for each other, helps each other, and like you're a part of a network. You know, maybe. So like if a big company, like a conglomerate, like Burger King should at that point put in the, like, how much money are they putting into this campaign? They should consult with somebody who's in that culture to make sure they're doing right by it,
even
right?
if it's your competition, at least it's somebody that is from that ethnicity.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So they put out this burger. I was like, all right, I gotta try this out. Like, the jingle was so stupid.
It was
like,
literally Korean
butter chicken, come get a burger. It was so stupid.
It was
like literally the jingle
stupid.
of like.
It was really
so
bad.
it was really bad, and I was like, these guys are like literally making fun of us. So I went to go try the burger out, and at first I just did a video talking about it, and I was really upset and I was very passionate, and that was okay. That video was okay. People agreed with me and whatnot. Then I went to go try the burger and the poutine, and I put up the video, and right away I just got negative feedback from our community, not just anyone, our people. And what I was trying to say in the video was, 12 years ago when I put butter chicken lasagna on the map, I put butter chicken on the map in the sense of I didn't invent it. I didn't put it on the map as a general thing. But I introduced it to people that didn't know what Indian food was, what Punjabi food was, what butter chicken was. Back then, when you think about it, when you think about Asian food, Chinese food, you think about General Tao, chicken, right? Or beef and broccoli.
And in terms of what's available in grocery stores and like a mass, like vanilla out there flavor.
Indian food didn't have a thing. It didn't have a thing back then. And when I did butter chicken lasagna, every restaurant, Boston Pizza, Swiss Chalet, Pizza Hut, everyone
New York fries,
everyone started doing butter chicken something. They're riding the wave. And I was proud that I was the one that was able to introduce that to the mass public. That's all I said. And I said, this burger is horrible. They're taking powder, and as a chef, they're taking powdered butter chicken. They're making the sauce. It tastes horrible. And
he was saying like, oh, I hope it tastes good. Like I'm not trying to be like, oh, this is gonna suck. Like I really hope that that it tastes good. He's like, no, it tastes like shit.
It tastes like shit. And it came off as me saying that I invented butter chicken, that I'm the one that put it on the map, and people just started ripping me. And I was getting death threats.
For butter chicken?
For butter chicken. For talking about a Burger King butter chicken sandwich.
I was
remember that people were like, "Oh, who are you to speak on?"
Yeah.
Butter? Like people.
Someone was like, "Oh, does my mom have to call you before she makes the butter chicken?" What are you talking
I didn't
about?
claim butter chicken, but I helped in a movement of putting our culture all across North America. When I went butter chicken lasagna, people from India, Australia were calling us for interviews. So I put our community on the map. Mm-hmm. That's all I was saying. But people took it as I was trying to claim butter chicken. And that's the problem, is social media sucks the energy right out of you. And it fucking fucks you up in the sense of you try to do good for the community, but your own people fucking spit on you and step on you and stomp on you. It wasn't anyone else. It was our people with fake accounts. I deleted the fucking post because it was giving me anxiety. And I was like, I don't want to deal with this. Every time I open my phone, I was like, what the fuck? What am I going to deal with today? Yeah. And that was the one post that got to me. I talked to a lot of social media influencers like Lily and Just Rain and whatnot. And there's a reason why they stopped doing what they're doing. Because our people are fucking assholes sometimes. They want to see you succeed, but they don't want to see you succeed.
Not too much.
Right?
Not too much.
Like upper deal
they want to control you.
kind of thing.
Crabs in a bucket.
Yeah, absolute crabs in the bucket. Absolutely.
Yeah. And it's like, motherfuckers, I'm not trying to do this for myself. I'm trying to do this for everyone.
Yeah.
But all good. If you want to hide behind a fucking phone or a screen and say all this shit, all good. At the end of the day, I'm not doing this for me. I'm doing this for everyone. So ever since that day, I've, it's so, you can make videos and you can put out content. Like, putting out content is not easy. Telling your story is not easy. You think this, like, taking on your fucking phone and like, hey guys, what's up? I'm at Rick's Goodies today and this is what we're doing. You think that's fucking easy?
Not
you think I want to fucking do that?
Dude,
I don't want to do that.
It's time
You do want to do it sometimes, though.
But then sometimes I think, what's the point?
Yeah.
Are people really appreciating what I'm doing?
In that scenario, for sure.
Yeah.
But I do think like those negative people aren't the majority. It's always like the minorities, like the loudest, and the people who want to hate make the most noise.
And nothing has ever gone to me except for that one post, and that got to me for a bit. And I don't let it bother me, but it questions me in the sense that, okay, do I want to be a social media influencer, or do I want to be a businessman and just expand my business? But I've got Rick's Goodies. My name is behind the brand, so I got to be the face of it. So I'm kind of facing this identity crisis where, do I create another brand where Rick's name is out of it? And do I do something else? And I'm kind of in the middle of that thing. But guys, we're all doing this for the same thing, which is putting our people and our culture on the map.
It's so tough, man. You built the whole brand on Rick's Good Eats, and then just because, you know, we talked about, you know, I stopped in for lunch that one day, and he shared that story with me, and that's why I wanted to highlight it, is because it's not, it takes a toll on somebody, you know, like feeling the pressure of, you could turn your phone off, you can get on with your day, but it's such a big part of your guys' life, and then you do it for the community. If you're doing it just for financial gain and running a business, you actually wouldn't even need this thing. You guys would make more than enough money, throw the social media away, but promoting the community, the growth, you know, our culture, that's a big part of what you guys do, and you continue to kind of push forward. And when you see your own people, it's different if they were Gorik, you know, saying those kind of things, fine, you know, you guys don't understand it, but our people that are saying it, like, come on, you know better, you know, like that's like Brar Sweets saying that they invented rasmalai because it's in grocery stores.
Right.
You know, they're gonna be international at some point, and you know they're growing. Are we gonna tear them down because they took gulab jamuns to Germany?
The next level,
like
they're
I don't know. I would be like, yo, give them their flowers. Like they are doing it to that level that no one else has been able to. You know, what? Like one thing about like that whole butter chicken thing that kind of like threw me was people were okay with like Burger King doing it. Like, yo, there's so many. There are other restaurants who do butter chicken something. Go to your mom and pop shop that does butter chicken something. You know, why would you go to Burger King for butter chicken? Like, why would that be the thing? Go to the mom and pop shop. Go to the other restaurants who are actually doing it and doing it well and putting the time and effort behind it, rather than someone who's taking powdered something and slapping some water in it.
We've sat in rooms with agencies that they're trying to consult about Indian, Punjabi cuisine, and that's great, but don't make a mockery of us.
Yeah. It goes back to that whole thing in Recipe to Riches. It's like
don't be
full
the
circle,
token.
guys. Like, don't be a token. Stand up for what you actually believe in terms of be authentic. Be real about who you are and what you're trying to do.
No, I love seeing the fact that you're passionate about it, the fact that you stand up for it. Being mad is a good thing, you know. If you don't get upset about it, it means you don't give a shit. So
push fire underneath your own ass.
Absolutely, man.
You got to be uncomfortable to be comfortable.
Yeah,
absolutely.
If you're comfortable in life, you're not gonna get growth.
Nope.
But if you're uncomfortable and you make those decisions, like we talked about property and this and that, you got to be uncomfortable. It's a big investment. You take a step back. You know, I'm a firm believer of, you know, Tony Robbins taught me this a long time ago, that you got to shift your focus 1% left or right. You can't be always in the same lane. You know, in order to, like when I was doing in photography, I sometimes I didn't feel creative. I would take my kada and put it on my left hand because it felt weird, but that would get my creative energy going. I would wear a banana, which I never wear a banana, underneath my t-shirt because it felt weird. And now I'm like, okay, this feels weird. Okay, let me start thinking outside the box.
It's like a physical reminder.
Reminder that you're outside of your comfort zone. You're uncomfortable, but you got to get comfortable because you got to get this job done.
Yeah.
You got to get this wedding done.
That's
interesting. You got to make this food. Yeah. So you start doing things differently. I wear my watch on my right hand, and it gets me thinking, like, this feels uncomfortable. Okay, this is a reminder. You can't be comfortable. You got to be uncomfortable to be comfortable, to make the next steps. And that's what I try to do every single day in my life, in my career. You know, I want to be the mini McDonald's of Rick's Good Eats, of Punjabi fast food, comfort food. That's my goal. I'll get there one day or another. I know I will.
Yeah.
It's a lot of hard work. It's a lot of dedication. But if you got a vision, and you know, one thing I've learned is communication, taking care of yourself, your mental health. You know, I've been through depression in the past, and it's not fun, but I've been through it, and Jot's been there to support me and help me out.
You know, you talked about that. Sorry to interrupt you, but you know, you were vocal about it. You were online about it. Talk to us about getting through some of those hard times and like dealing with depression and being vocal about it and putting it out there and telling people that it's okay to go through some of these things.
You know, in the last 6 weeks, this is the first outing I've been out to in public. I've said no to a lot of public events in the last 6 weeks. I've been out of it. I haven't been there. You know, the pressure of having, you know, when you have a business and you're running it, you have all these people that are looking up to you for advice or they have questions for you, and the people that are looking for you for directions. I can motivate them, but there's no one to motivate me sometimes. And that gets very dark and lonely. And no one understands your vision except for you. And maybe some other people that are in the same industry. But they're trying to fight their own demons. So during the pandemic, the first year, I was trying to survive. I was just trying to
Like
make,
everybody, it was
like everyone,
tough.
right? Just trying to survive and trying to make things happen and trying to, we went from 25 staff members to fucking 3 staff members. And then we built up slowly from there. And that was the realistic, that was the reality.
It was like constantly pivoting. Like all the products that we have now, all the CPG, like our Mutri chips, our spices, our frozen food, all came out of, okay, so we're not doing our normal thing. There's no lunch rush. Okay, we have to pivot and create other things for us to like a marketplace. So, and we didn't have a website before that. We had to create a website. So much good came out of that pivoting, but
so much
when you're-
energy was
consumed because like you're always like, okay, now this. So when you finally have a second to pause, you're like, oh shit, I'm like drained. I have nothing left. And then that's where Rick hit that wall where he was like, I've just pivoted for like 2 years straight trying to survive. I remember Rick and I went down to Toronto and it was like just near the tail end of like things were going to start to open up, and we drove down like King West, Queen West. And it was like a ghost town.
It was so weird. Like,
The amount of restaurants that were closed and
everything,
the restaurant industry already. Like if you don't know the restaurant industry, don't get into it.
It's tough.
It is
It's
the
tough.
number one like business that fails. It is a lot of time, a lot of effort. You can't just throw money at it. You have to be consistent. That's the number one thing. If someone comes in and gets a butter chicken load of fries and the next week it's different, they're like, wait, what the hell happened?
Everybody who cooks a good meal says I should open a restaurant. Everybody who has a good drink or pours a beer says I should have a bar. But that industry is the hardest, worst industry to get into.
so much behind
It's
it.
so
Yeah.
hard.
I watched this TV show recently, The Bear. And
Oh my God.
This is
Gives me
crazy.
anxiety.
I was like,
Oh my
holy
God.
shit, bro. Like, I was like
Rick
stressing out
literally
watching
has
it.
to like watch it in doses because
Yeah.
it's so much
I
anxiety
binged
watching
it, like,
that.
but I was stressing out watching. I'm like, oh my God, oh my God.
That is what
Yeah.
it's like.
So,
That's what it's
sorry
like.
to pivot, but you guys brought up Toronto, and I have to talk about CNE and your experience.
Oh
there
my
this
God,
year.
CNE was
Your
amazing.
first year at CNE. CNE, for those that don't know that are not
Second
from
year.
Toronto.
Second year.
Second year. I didn't know that. Is
Dude.
our probably our longest running festival in our city
Yeah.
in general.
Over 100 years.
Over 100 years.
Yeah.
And Rick and Joe took Rick's Good Eats there, and you guys were the showstopper, literally.
We literally were the showstoppers.
Wait, pre-pandemic, I had been applying to CNE every year since we opened the restaurant. Because CNE is like if we're thinking about like the Canadian, Punjabi Canadian experience, it's like the
Everybody
experience.
goes,
Right?
yeah.
It's like as a kid, you went to it. It's like a part of like our nostalgic like experience here. So but with the CNE, like they have really high standards because think about the volume of people who are going in, and first-time vendors rarely get in unless you have a connect. A lot of vendors are generational, so they'll have stalls that have been there with their families, and they will not give up their spot. And so I had been applying to CNE, and that application is like that
It's
thick.
thick.
That's crazy.
That thick. Like it was intense. So I've been applying every single year since we opened Rick's Good Eats. And then I applied, we got in, pandemic hit.
Oh.
And so then during the pandemic, every year I'm like, if CNE's not happening, I would email and be like, hey, we're still in, right? We're still in, right? That's still good, right? So this year was actually our second year, and the year before was our first year. And thank God they like let us still use that acceptance from like 3 years beforehand to go in because that shit was hard to get into.
The butter chicken samosa sandwich.
Yeah.
I was so disappointed. I came out of the Toronto FC game and I was hammered. And I'm looking for you guys. I don't know where I was
You're
at.
on the opposite side.
The games are so expensive. I blew so much money winning my nephew a toy. And I was like, you know what? I just got to get out of here.
Get out of here fast.
Lucky I know where your restaurant is.
Yeah,
Last
no.
2 questions I got to ask you guys before we leave, because I appreciate all the time you've taken to sit with us. 2 things. Anywhere in the world you go and you can take one ingredient with you to cook, which one is it?
A spice or ingredient?
I didn't know there was a difference.
If
Let's say one of each.
if it's a spice, I'm going to take chaat masala with me. Because I slap that shit on everything.
That's it, Frank.
That's
said.
Yeah, that's my Frank's hot sauce. If it's an ingredient, man, that's a hard one between onion and garlic. Shallots. It's a hybrid
Best
of
of
both.
both.
It's a fancy onion.
It's a hybrid of both.
That's a
It's a
fancy
garlicky
right?
onion.
It's a garlic and the onion.
It's a hybrid.
There you go.
There you go.
Shallot, yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
And since you guys,
How about you, by the way?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Come on.
I don't know.
You're in West
She's
Germany and you got to cook some
She's
food.
a better chef than I am. She can make the best classics.
I always say Rick's Good Eats best kept secret is Joe.
Dude,
100%.
So I can make flavors. I can make sauces. I can make marinades.
I don't have the
can do fusion.
creativity Rick has.
She can take a classic recipe and fucking just, it's the best thing you'll ever try. Yeah.
I don't know. That's why I'm gonna be boring. Into like salt, like lemon. I don't know.
Okay.
What's
That was boring.
That's so boring. I know. That's what I'm saying.
is
It's
there a
boring.
big difference between regular salt and Himalayan salt?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Don't use table salt.
Uh-huh.
If you guys
Iodized
have
salt
table
is like it's like
get rid of
it can
it.
work,
Yeah.
but it's not. It doesn't have flavor.
Sea
Yeah.
salt, kosher salt,
Kosher salt's awesome.
Himalayan, yes and no.
Himalayan has like nutrients.
Yeah.
Himalayan salt, like pink salt, like that, it's got like it's nutrient dense, so it's
But it
really
depends
good
on where
for-
it comes from.
Okay.
Because there's
Doesn't
recent studies
Himalayan
now.
salt come from the Himalayas?
Yeah, sometimes, but sometimes the way it's like harvested, they use like dynamite, so that it can
That's
have
okay. Yeah,
traces
okay.
of that.
Yeah.
So it depends on where you're getting it from.
Yeah.
So look, you learn something new every day.
Yeah. We are going to be, if you don't mind, we're going to be bringing our cameras into your kitchen one day soon.
Hell
Hell
yeah.
yeah!
And we
Hell
need to
yeah.
learn more. We'll continue the conversation. Last question for both you guys. Since you have such an artistic background and you're so involved in the music industry as a whole, if we were to look at both your playlists right now, your top 2 or 3 songs, what are we
Right
listening
now,
to?
you guys know I'm a music head. Like,
Yeah, what are you listening to?
as soon as I get up, music is playing, and then it's going all the way. Oh,
No, I'll start.
you go.
Jay-Z album 444.
Yeah,
It's
constantly.
always on. It's just
Yeah.
one of those things that get to me and just gets me going. AP Dillon, gotta
yeah.
have him in the mix.
Yeah, big shout out to them for the Amazon Prime.
Yeah,
That was
yeah.
crazy.
And third, it would be right recently. Is it Hans Zimmer or Zimmerman?
Hans Zimmer.
Hans Zimmer, epic
scores.
movie
Yeah.
score music.
Damn.
Oh man, it gets me fucking going. Like it's just like epic music, and I'm just like, let's fucking take this world and just run with it.
Wow.
So that's my top 3 right now.
Nice.
Damn.
Joe?
Amrinder Gill's new vibe is really good.
Okay, legend.
Have you seen that? Have you heard Organized
No.
yet? Oh, so good.
Is it?
I
Okay,
like
I
it.
gotta
It's got like
listen
the
to
Afrobeat kind of thing.
Okay.
Really? And Amrinder
I gotta
Gill
hear
has
it.
that
I was-
on beat?
I was
You don't
okay.
like it?
I was okay about it.
I like it.
I was okay.
I like it. It's girly. I love it. Amrinder Gill's a soft spot in my heart. I love the Georgia Smith new album. It's so good. This is really hard.
Although Raf just sent me his new song and I haven't heard it yet. So
Yeah.
Raf
I'm looking-
Sabera?
Yeah.
I'm so upset with Raf. I'm upset with M actually because I
Yo,
did
I'm
not.
upset with him too. I messaged him. I was
We
like, yo,
seen
get this.
I
the
got one.
vinyl, his vinyl
got-
for his
Oh,
album.
Yeah, I got
it was
one.
sold out. You got it?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's sitting in the studio.
I'm
And I was
getting
like,
one
He's like,
too.
oh, don't worry. We're
Oh,
gonna send you
my
guys
God.
all one. We're gonna say JJ got one.
Can you add me to that list of people who got one?
Raf, we got to give him
Raf.
applause. He put
What camera?
Pinda
Raf.
and Jazzy
Jazzy
B
together,
together.
yeah.
That was
Oh my
legendary.
God.
Legendary.
Dude.
Yeah, that was a legendary
When I'm talking
moment.
about Jazzy B and Pin the used to tour together.
Yeah.
Oh my God. That was
So
legendary.
Raf, we still need our albums, all right?
Yeah, man.
Straight up.
And that was the last one, Raf.
No.
I
It was a third.
I don't know right now, guys. Like this is
Well, give me your all-time favorite then, Punjabi.
all-time favorite Punjabi Surinder Kaur. Come on.
Make some noise for the females.
Oh, actually, I'm gonna plug Sick Knowledge's like PFDS sessions. If you go on his SoundCloud
Knowledge.
right now and you listen to like the front to back, like the whole sets he does, oh my God!
Yeah.
I literally put them on and I drive all day with them. They're so good.
Sick
Yeah.
Knowledge is a legend in himself.
Legend.
man.
Legend.
We got to hear more from him. I haven't heard from him in
He's doing
quite
a lot
He's
of
doing
like, parties.
Where he's doing parties right now called Punjabi Future Dub Sessions, and they are like taking like deep
It's
cuts,
crazy.
great
It's like
digging
Punjabi
Punjabi.
sets. It's
Oh,
bomb.
It's
okay.
bomb.
Yeah.
It's like, and Sig knows as well. Every time he's spinning, I'm always like, yo, can I press the button? It's like I press this one, like, do, do, do.
Don't let Rick near your gear. He'll be up on it. He'll be up on your deck.
All right, what are we plugging? What's coming up for Rick's Good Eats for you guys as a whole 2024? What can we look forward to?
There's always something on the move, but we've got our spice line that Joe and
Yeah.
the team is working on. We're releasing it actually next week, but it'll be a brand
We
new.
don't know when that's coming out.
We
so.
don't know what's coming out, so
It'll be out.
Yeah,
It'll be
okay,
out.
cool.
Yeah.
It'll be out. A new spice line. We've got 6 spices that we use in the restaurant. So if people that are around the world that want to try our food, because that's how we started off. We started off as a food blogger, and people are like, dude, we see your food, we can't try it, so I open a restaurant. So now for people that are across the world, we see your food, but we can't try it because we're so far away. Well, now you can take our spices and we give you a little recipe card and you can make all our recipes at home, like a Punjabi cheeseburger, a butter chicken, and so forth. We're working on a new location, an East End location. And we're working on
For those outside of the Greater Toronto area, that's Markham, Scarborough.
Yeah,
Yeah,
exactly. And then we're working on an online platform where we'll be sharing more recipes, tips, highlighting Punjabi chefs or just South Asian chefs.
Yeah, working on like more like cultural content as well.
Cultural content. So that'll be another beast on its own. And anything else we're working on?
No,
I mean,
that's it.
that's kind of like the next kind of, but there's always something happening, but
Nice.
That's what's happening right now.
that's what's happening right now.
Well, this is not the only episode that you guys will be on. We look forward to having you guys back. We want to see the success. We want to see the growth.
Yeah.
Everybody who's been on the show will be on it again because this is just the beginning.
We love
We're
it.
all just getting started.
Yeah.
So next time we want to hear about the growth. We want to hear about where you've been, where you're going, and we'll continue the story.
And
We need
next
some more of
time,
that fried chicken, man.
yeah, next time,
Absolutely.
I think we should do this in my commissary kitchen. I got a big table. You guys sit down. We'll have drinks. I'll be cooking you guys food.
Oh.
And we'll just be chatting.
Oh, that's done.
Stop
Right?
We can do that in a couple of weeks.
Right?
Done.
All right, let's make some noise for
All right.
Joe and Rick.
Thank
Let's
you
go.
guys.
Thank you guys.
Thank
And
you
we're
for having
out.
us. Sick.
Sweet.
Awesome.
That was so much fun, guys.
That was so much
That was awesome.
fun.
That was awesome.
You guys are amazing.